What you are about to watch is my hero, okay? My Hero Academia, the man, the myth, the legend, Dan Crenshaw, you know, friend of the show, Dan Crenshaw, get fucking dismantled by someone like Jake Tapper, okay? Well, not really, but he just like dismantles himself basically live on TV. It's pretty fucking awesome. Let's take a look at what he has to do because, you know, Dan Crenshaw, friend of the show, famous for crying on TV about my takes on his eye and numerous other things about 9/11 that I said. But he's also famous for being a rhino, a Republican in name only. He's like the moderate Republican. He tries to, you know, do that delicate dance all the time, where he will try to come across like a guy who tells the Republicans, you know, no, you can't have these things that you want to have. Like, no, I will not be sponsoring a bill that says we're going to kill every Democratic legislator. And then his fans will boo him and they'll go, fuck you, you're fucking rhino, you fucking piece of shit. He famously came out against, you know, originally was in support of red flag laws and then came out against them. But, you know, a lot of people got mad at him. Yes, he's a graduate of Tufts and also Harvard. He's got an eye for what pisses off the voter. I agree. He does. He doesn't have very good foresight. Doesn't really have very good hindsight either. So let's take a look.
Information on the FBI search of Mar-a-Lago. Republican lawmakers are largely standing by former President Trump. And joining us now to discuss is Texas Republican Congressman Dan Crenshaw. Congressman, thanks so much for being here. Really appreciate it.
Jake, thanks for having me. It's a slow news week. I don't know what you want to talk about.
So there's a lot to get to. Let's start with the fact that you're a former Navy SEAL. You have depended on the intelligence community in very real, tangible ways to protect your life and those of your brothers. As someone who understands just how...
you've depended on the intelligence community to conduct JSOC operations like, I don't know, finding new trafficking routes into Europe for the Afghan poppy that you were, you know, helping produce opium with. You know, you had a lot of that, Dan. You relied on intelligence to make sure that operation was successful. Care to give us more insight on that? No, of course, Jake Tapper would never say that.
Precious intelligence can be. I'm wondering if it bothers you that there was apparently classified information in an unsecure location.
Bro, I swear to God, Jake Tapper with a veteran is the same level of dick riding as Aiden Ross with Andrew Tate, okay? Veterans to Jake Tapper is the same as Andrew Tate is to Aiden Ross. Like, we often joke about, like, oh, yeah, Aiden Ross, like, you're dick riding, you're dick eating, you're dick riding, blah, blah, blah. But, like, nobody ever really sees it from the same perspective. But goddamn, does Jake Tapper love riding, dude. He loves it.
At Mar-a-Lago, we know that one box was labeled TS-SCI, that's top secret, sensitive, compartmented information.
Yeah. Well, look, you know me, Jake, and I'm not one to withhold criticism and even make my own side mad. I want to get to the truth. But I will be honest with you here. It's hard to justify what the Department of Justice did here, in my opinion. And here's why. Here's what it really
I wonder why. This is the reasonable Republican take, by the way.
boils down to. It's not a question that it's bad to have classified material in a non-SCIF environment, right? So that's a non-secret compartmentalized infrastructure there. That's wrong. But there's ways to mitigate that. There's ways to resolve that issue. And I still haven't seen any evidence that...
Wait, what do you mean? Okay, there were, like, I don't know, asking politely. They did that already. That didn't happen. Sending a subpoena. They did that, and that didn't happen. So what more could they have done in this situation? I mean, they did say pretty pink, please. And the Trump team just took advantage of that. They literally fucking personally sent back some of the materials, but refused to send some of them. For what reason? What are they supposed to do?
That Trump was even asked to give these documents back. He's been cooperating with them on these issues for a while now, for months. And so why take it to this extreme extent? And I think that's why you're seeing so much backlash from Republicans. You're seeing everyone coalesce. It doesn't matter what side of the issue they're on with Trump. You've seen a lot coalesce around this one because it does seem unjust. And there does seem to be a long history of loss of credibility at the Department of Justice at the hands of Democrats. And I think people are rightfully frustrated about that.
I think well, first of all, I think there are a lot of Hillary Clinton folks who would argue that, you know, they don't think that they were treated well by the FBI.
Absolutely. So it just gets to the point, though.
But what I'll say is, and look, you're right, there's a lot we don't know. So I can't defend anything. But I will say,
I don't get it. Like, it's like a light conservative talking to an even more conservative light conservative. And of course, like, this conversation is unproductive. Just fucking ask why he said those things when they did that.
It did go to a magistrate judge. The FBI director signed off on it. He was appointed by Trump. There was concern, according to the documents that have been released, about whether or not information would be destroyed. So, look, a healthy skepticism about law enforcement and FBI raids is always fine and welcome as far as I'm concerned. But isn't law enforcement innocent until proven guilty as well?
Yeah, again, people signing off on it doesn't mean that it has precedent. It doesn't. This is a very unprecedented measure. And you know that when you're going after an ex-president who may run again, that this is automatically political. You cannot separate the legal aspects of.
Yeah, no, totally. Like Ralph Shorty, famously, okay, the Oklahoma State legislator Ralph Shorty, when he was caught having sex with a trafficked minor boy, okay, 17 years old, that was investigating him was just purely political. I mean, that's just political. It's just so political. It's, of course, inherently political when any kind of law enforcement agency goes after a politician. It's just politics, it's just political. You know what's not political? The top of the hour ad break is not political. It just impacts every single person unless you are a subscriber, okay? If you're a subscriber, then you subscribe for $5, or you're a subscriber that is subscribed for free with a Twitch Prime. You use your Twitch Prime here on your favorite broadcaster. And all of a sudden, you don't see the fucking top of the hour ad break, okay? Now, there's another way. Maybe you're lucky and you get that immunity through a gifted sub. Some people send gifted subs to the community. You might be one of those lucky people. If you're not, though, you got to make your own luck. Here's the 1 minute ad break now.
This from the political aspects of it. You can't. And it doesn't seem to me like they've acted responsibly as a result of that. And look, again, why not just ask him? Why not just ask him?
But they did! Negotiating and trying.
But they did! Jake Tapper! You have a slam dunk. You look for slam dunks. If you're in the media, your job is to get these fucking slam dunks. This motherfucker is blindsided right now, okay? You've entered his blind spot. He has a blind spot for Donald Trump, okay? And he's just revealing a perfect opportunity for you to strike. It's so clear. This would be a clip that runs over in eternity if you turned around right now and blindsided him with a question like, well, that's interesting, or counter, like, well, that's really interesting you say that, because they did do that with a subpoena.
To get the information for the Justice Department.
And he cooperated.
But he didn't turn over. They'd been negotiating and trying to get the information from him, and
he cooperated.
But he didn't turn over boxes and boxes of material, as far as the Justice Department says.
But he's been cooperating, and I think he's on the record saying, whatever you need from us, just ask. It's great to see you guys. I mean, it was a very friendly environment.
But his lawyer said they didn't have any more classified information, and the Justice Department said, yes, you do, and they went and got it. And the only reason we know about the raid was because Donald Trump announced it.
Right. Well, I think we would have figured it out even if he hadn't. But look, yes, the lawyers did sign that document. They have nothing left. Now, that's either a huge mistake on part of the lawyers, but even if it was nefarious, again, why not say, hey, we don't believe you?
He's just trying to offload that now over to the lawyers. Oh, the lawyers made a mistake, an innocent mistake. Oh, okay, interesting.
Now let us come back and let's go through these boxes again. There's tons of boxes here. I mean, do any of us really believe that Donald Trump is like reading his nuclear secrets on his bedside at night? Like, there's an intent question here.
Bro, he is flailing. He is fucking flailing right now. This is a horrible way to try and defend him.
And if you're going to use the espionage,
come on. I mean, does anyone believe that he took the classified nuclear materials or read it by his bedside? Like, motherfucker, we don't even know if he knows how to read. Okay, it doesn't matter what his fucking intent is. Like, literally, the rule of law doesn't even the rule of law itself doesn't even care about that. So Jake Tapper again, fuck him with the left.
Act. And if you're gonna pursue this criminal investigation, you have to prove intent, and that doesn't seem likely in this case, right? Especially when this person has been cooperating extensively in a very friendly manner. And so that's why a lot of us...
Bro, what do you mean he was cooperating in a friendly manner? Did he or did he not refuse to fucking give back some of the classified materials that he was subpoenaed? Doesn't matter how friendly he was. You know what I mean? Oh, Your Honor. That's so fun. This is such a fucking awesome defense, dude. Your Honor, I know I tried to rob the bank, okay, with a gun, but when the detectives came over to my house and asked what I was doing, on that day, I was very friendly with them. So obviously that means that, you know, I'm innocent. I was friendly with the law enforcement.
Jump to the conclusion that this was highly politicized because it was so unnecessary to do an armed raid to resolve this particular issue that could have been resolved very easily otherwise.
I think a lot of Justice Department people would take issue with your descriptions, but I'm not here to defend the Justice Department. I do want to note that your criticism is fairly measured. I can't say the same about every Republican.
Oh my God, dude. Oh, Jake Tapper with a guac 5000. Of course, dude. You're so measured and so brilliant in the way that you're defending Donald Trump. There is no measured or brilliant defense here, dude. Like, that doesn't matter. Like, what the fuck are you saying? You literally hit him with a fucking left hook. You blindsided him, and now you're turning around and be like, but you're actually doing a really good job defending Donald Trump. It's not measured at all. Once again, aesthetic-focused liberals, oh my God, all they care about is someone using the right terms, and that's it.
In Congress, and you've been willing to criticize them, Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, one of your favorites, who called to defund the FBI after the Mar-a-Lago raid. Federal prosecutors have since charged a Pennsylvania man this week after he wrote on social media, if you work for the FBI, you deserve to die. Obviously, that armed man tried to enter the FBI office in Ohio. There's a Republican congressional candidate, Carl Palladino, endorsed by Elise Stefanik, who said that Attorney General Merrick Garland should probably be executed. I mean, that rhetoric, I'm sure, bothers.
Oh, yeah. It's crazy, and it makes us seem like extremist Democrats, right? And so Marjorie,
bro, what the fuck? That's crazy. Was Dan Crenshaw at CPAC? Because if I'm not mistaken, and I might be, but this is what happened at the CPAC.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are all domestic terrorists. Please welcome founder of the. Ladies and gentlemen, we are all domestic terrorists.
That's so weird. I love that the underline, the line comes under domestic too.
Domestic terrorists.
And like it stops at domestic.
Please welcome founder of the. Ladies and gentlemen.
I love the underlying notion here from Jake Tapper is that, like, because Dan Crenshaw is not literally calling for the murder of FBI agents, that he is the reasonable Republican. Like, you've been very measured in your response to Donald Trump taking and refusing to give back classified materials, some of which might be actually like nuclear materials. You know, top secret classification status. You've been really measured because you haven't called for the execution of the Attorney General Merrick Garland. What do you have to say to that? It's like, that's the bar, really? Like, because he's not trying to actively kill FBI agents? That's...
and AOC can go join the Defund the Law Enforcement Club if they want. 99% of Republicans are not on that train. What we want is accountability. We want transparency. And the criticisms that we're leveling against the FBI and DOJ are fully warranted. It is not those criticisms that lead to a crazy person attacking an FBI.
Oh, no, I'm not saying that. I'm talking about people who are like saying, kill FBI or...
No, it's completely wrong, right? It's completely wrong, but that's not where 99% of Republicans are at, of course. And I'll tell you what frustrates Republicans when you hear that kind of criticism is, last time I checked, you had even the White House spokesperson saying, yes, people should be out protesting in front of Supreme Court justices' homes, even after Brett Kavanaugh had his life threatened by this. And so, there's a double standard that frustrates the Republicans quite a bit when we talk about these.
I don't know why he's just like riding the Republican Party so much, because like the Republicans don't want you, man. The Republicans don't love you, little bro.
Issues, again, doesn't make it right.
Also, protesting outside of the fucking homes of Supreme Court justices is a little bit different than like entering the fucking Cincinnati FBI field office with a nail gun and an arsenal with the specific interest of murdering FBI agents. You know what I mean? Like, that's crazy.
I like to be on the side of it's all bad no matter who's saying it.
Right.
Yeah. He's like, so Democrats can protest, but we can't try to kill a couple FBI agents? Double standard alert. Jake, I like to call that a double standard. And the hypocrisy of this issue really frustrates us in the Republican Party.
Let me ask you another question that's important for all Americans, but especially in Texas. The governor of Texas, Greg Abbott, says Texas has now bused nearly 1,000 undocumented migrants from the border in Texas to New York City in the last 2 weeks. There's an immigration researcher at Syracuse who said that Abbott is doing these migrants, these undocumented individuals, a favor and, quote, practically ensuring that these migrants will be allowed to stay in the country because immigration judges in New York tend to be more lenient than immigration judges in Texas. What do you make of this stunt, this move, whatever you want to call it, by Abbott?
Well, look, what he's doing is he's sending a message. There's no secret there, right? This isn't a policy move. This is a move of desperation to get someone to pay attention to what we're dealing with in Texas. Which is why I support it. I said, will they have a more likelihood of staying in the country? Look, basically everyone who's crossing our border has that same likelihood. There's there's almost 2 million, I think we're at apprehensions just this year. That's an unprecedented number. Huge amount of those will stay in the country because the backlogs in our system are so severe that that's going to happen anyway. And when we're talking about the New York and DC busing, we're talking about
Yeah, by the way, if you're wondering, like, with the CNN rhetoric, this is really important. CNN went through a bunch of fucking firings. CNN's new CEO, Chris Licht, has been attending to an audience neglected by the network for the past several years. Republican lawmakers. The network boss camped out in mid-July in a room on the first floor of the Senate side of the Capitol, S-120, where he asked GOP lawmakers to come and talk with him privately. That arrangement avoided alerting the reporters who stalked the halls of the Capitol, sources said, and accommodated Republican lawmakers who preferred not to be seen hobnobbing with him. Licht's message, according to one of the lawmakers who sat down with him, as well as several sources briefed on the exchanges, was, "We want to win back your trust." CNN literally looked at the situation, looked at its fucking ratings, looked at the Fox News ratings and went, you know what's the problem here? We're too fucking liberal. We're not conservative enough. So what we should do is become more conservative, which is fucking awesome. I mean, fuck this country. Okay, fuck this country, fuck the media. I'm glad that they're doing it. Yeah, suck on that fascist cock, you pieces of shit. Have fun with it. At least they'll make better content, hopefully. Wonderful, dude. Absolutely fucking wonderful stuff, okay? But your numbers go up too, damn. Yeah, you know me, man. I love, GOP's Biden equals open border rhetoric doesn't even work. The border is so open that we're doing 3 times many drug seizures at it, which is crippling your community. That's the wild thing, is that, like, they constantly point to, like, immigrant apprehensions and say, look, this is an open border policy. It's like, no, dumbass, you're showcasing that the border is not open. If it was open, there would be no apprehensions like this. Anyway, let's continue.
A few thousand immigrants. That's what we deal with on a daily basis in South Texas. So look, what he's doing, I think, is out of desperation, and it's highly necessary because somebody has to solve this problem. This is an infringement on our sovereignty. It's an infringement on our rule of law. And you know what? It's unfair and it's immoral to the millions upon millions of good, law-abiding immigrants or asylum seekers around the world that have no chance of getting into our system because of the backlog that people are creating because they're geographically close to the United States and they can just walk across. It's not fair.
It's not
I want to
even
talk to you about
true.
Afghanistan
It's not even
too,
true.
because
those two things are completely removed from one another. Like, there are separate processes that he's referencing right now and using it against one another. That's literally not true. Jesus Christ.
we're in this month, it's a 1-year anniversary since the chaotic U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan. There was a lot of concern about the fallout for Homeland Security and for U.S. intelligence with the withdrawal. Now, the Biden administration has since said that the U.S. intelligence agencies under Biden, that al-Qaeda has not reconstituted. Obviously, the Biden administration, working with the Pentagon and intelligence partners, were able to take out al-Zawahiri. How great is the direct terrorist threat given the withdrawal? From a 30,000-foot view, it doesn't look, given the fact that al-Qaeda has not reconstituted, and al-Qaeda's number 1 was taken out.
Depends on who you talk to. I mean, General Petraeus was just on the record this week talking about how, look, it's ISIS that is really the threat and really has the resources right now. The other thing that's clear from the Zawahiri strike, which fully support, I'm glad the administration did that, but here's what's clear about that. The Taliban has been harboring him. Right? This was in a wealthy neighborhood in Kabul. Taliban's been going door to door all over Afghanistan for a year now. They knew where he was. They knew where they were harboring him. It was part of the reason that we believed that the Taliban were never going to adhere to the deal that even the Trump administration made. Okay, so what frustrates me about Afghanistan, is, generally speaking, is that we didn't learn any lessons in the last 20 years. And our politicians and our leaders.
I mean, he said literally these sorts of things 2 years ago, and in 3 years ago now, in 2019 on the Joe Rogan Experience on 8/20, and that's why I unironically fucking popped off and said what I said, which I do not have any I do not regret at all, because I was right back then, and I'm still right for saying exactly what I fucking said. Will not repeat it. I did miss the anniversary yesterday, but it was more of a tactical retreat from being live on the anniversary, so I could, make sure that I didn't pop off in this way.
Never told the American people the complicated truth about what's happening there. It's not this normal war where it's us, say, versus Saddam Hussein, and there's a uniformed opposition versus us. And then there's a clear winner and loser at the end when you sign a treaty. That's not what this ever was, right? You were attacked, and then you either took revenge or you sought to prevent it from ever happening again. And our policy was to seek to prevent it from ever happening again, and that requires resources, requires building up capacity with our allies, and that's complicated and it's messy. And some people call it nation building, you can call it capacity building, stability operations, whatever you call it, it's tough. And over 20 years, we sort of figured out that right balance, where we're actually investing very minimal resources. We hadn't lost a single soldier in over a year. We had very few troops there, and we had a strategic Bagram Air Base, not just for counterterrorism operations, but it's close to Pakistan, it's close to Iran, it's close to China.
Yeah.
And then we just give it up. Why? Because of these emotional cries to, bring the troops home, no more endless wars. And instead of addressing the complexities of this issue and understanding what national defense is, which does involve forward deployed presence, a connection with allies, building capacity with them so that I'm not the guy losing my eye to do it. And we lost it all.
I'm like white knuckling through this, bro. It is so hard for me not to say something. I'm not saying anything about it, okay? I'm not. I've grown, okay? I've learned. I'm just not going to say it. I'm not going to say anything, okay? He doesn't want to be the guy who loses his eye, Freak accident.